Now, I'm a workaholic. I love work most of the time, most days of my life. I generally do love it. I enjoy what I do in terms of my college life and passing the courses I need for my career, running my business and my brand, uh, trying to keep up to date with other work related things that I do with college as well. All that stuff I love. And we spend approximately, as a human being culture thingy bobby, I forgot the words, we spend on average 14 to 30% of our life working. Yes, you spend about 14 if you're like doing no work at all, and 30% of your life working. I probably do more than that because most teenagers don't work. So, because of this, I wanted to come on today and talk about taking breaks. Something that, till this day, I've not been great at. Because I am quite obsessed with my work is a distraction from my anxiety, it's also something I'm passionate about. I can very easily get very engrossed in it and actually forget that I have this thing to manage. I'm getting better at that, and I think as I get a bit older and as new people have come into my life, I think I'm learning that I need to put myself first. But today I wanted to talk about the importance of working, but also taking breaks, and when you should take a break, when you shouldn't, how to healthily balance all that kabobba. Because I've learned a lot of skills over the most recent months. I've kind of had to because my health hasn't been the greatest, but I've also had to maintain everything I do in my life. So I just wanted to talk about how I manage all of that. So let's jump in and find out why breaks are really healthy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Focus Future channel. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. I hope you're all happy, healthy, and striving to achieve. Today, I wanted to go over the importance of taking breaks. What I've learned over the last couple of months as my mental health and general health, really. I've had some funky tone problems. It's fun. We're not going to talk about my funky tone problems, but you know. Anyway, while I've been dealing with all that, I have had to take quite a few breaks to manage it. So I thought today I'd go over all them skills. So if you're interested in all of that sababa, please stay tuned. I swear the word I use for that every week changes, but it's fine. Yeah, stay tuned. If not, use the top link in my description to learn a bit more about me. But apart from that, let's jump into this and learn about breaks. I am sorry, guys. This intro is probably a mess, but you know, that's life. Now, I'm just going to give you some statistical reasons why taking a break is important. Some scientifical rubbish. It's not rubbish, but still. Now, let's remember that the average human being attention span, so the average time that a human can in-depthly spend concentrated, focused, and really engaged in something is about 20 minutes. So during that period, you are fully engaged on what you're doing. That's on average. After that, very slowly, you start to disengage. You start to look at things around you a bit more. You start to want to do other things. And from person to person, it happens a lot more quickly where you actually want to go and do something else. If that's get a drink, if that's get something to eat, even just get up and stretch, you'll feel the need to move. And as you get less and less focused, as that attention span plummets, you start to get less and less accurate. Your spelling will get less accurate. Your ability to do the task you're doing will become a lot less able. And generally, you're not going to be as good at what you're doing as you was 20 minutes ago. And this also depends on what time of day it is. If it's first thing in the morning and you're fully wide awake with 8 hours of sleep, which is very rare for most human beings nowadays, you're going to be able to hold that attention span a tiny bit longer. But if you wait till 8 o'clock at night, as I tend to do, you end up with a lot less of an attention span. This then causes your day to become a lot longer, a lot more dragged out. You don't feel as productive because you're having to step away so often. But as sad as it is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the normal brain function. Your brain is designed to want to do other things. Actually, something that I've found terribly hard to sit down and focus on recently is writing blog posts. If you've seen my website, I try to post a blog post probably every week on there. And even though it's a task that I'm only meant to do once a week, it's still very much at the time a struggle for me. It's not because I don't like doing it, but because I do it every week and my brain is so used to the activity, I immediately don't want to do it. I kind of think, well, I only did that last week. That's boring. I don't want to do that anymore. Because I am someone who, as much as I like routine, within my routine, I like slight little differences to keep me occupied. And obviously, when you're doing the same thing week on week, it generally does get a bit boring. No matter how much you love it, no matter how passionate you are. So a lot of the time, writing a blog post, I have to do it spread out for a week. That's why you'll see that my blog posts tend to come out towards the end of the week, because it takes me about 5 days just to write it. And this is what I mean. And that is the same for anything. After a little while, your brain wants to be able to do something else because it needs to remain occupied. Now, there are things you can generally do to improve that. You can get a better sleep. You can work on major activities or major projects in the morning. Doing anything that's highly focused when you're energized. Making sure you're having a good breakfast. All the typical self-care things that you're meant to do will help you be able to hold that attention span for a lot longer. But for most people, even that doesn't work. So what's the next thing? Well, that's where something called "it's time to take a break" comes in. Now, the problem is with this, taking breaks in general it's nice, but for a workaholic or for someone who needs to get a set amount of things done every week, it's also a really big pain up the arse. Because when you're so motivated to get something done, but you're also so unenergized, it actually kind of becomes annoying. You start to get annoyed at yourself for not being able to get a specific amount of things done every day. I know that feeling. But recently, what I've had to kind of adapt my brain to think is that if I push myself over the edge and become de-energized, I let my anxiety rule me, or whatever, I'm going to be less accurate with my work, meaning the quality of work goes down, and that affects whatever I'm doing. So it would just make more sense for me to take a little break, rest up, drink up, eat up, have a little watch of YouTube for a little while, and come back to it. And then be able to hold an attention span for another 20 minutes. But when you first start off trying to take breaks, you don't think like this. So what do I mean by taking breaks? I mean learning yourself. Knowing when it's time to stop. When you're completely distracted, when you're thinking about donuts more than you are work, when you're so tired you're barely able to hold your eyes open, and more importantly, when you're mentally drained. If you're looking at something and thinking, oh my god, this is absolutely pathetic, it's probably time to move on. Now, in structured jobs where your manager or your employee set specific times of the day for you to have breaks, this is a bit easier because you are disciplined into what we call a hard routine. But if you're working at home, as a lot of us are doing at the moment, or you're, in a job where there's no manager standing over your neck to get things done within a certain amount of hours, this becomes a lot more difficult. So, for them people who are not in hard routines, let me talk about some tips. And the first one, as this video clearly implies, is to take regular 20 to 30 minute breaks. Where you stop, you're like, right, okay, so I did this, this, and this, and this in that period of time that I was focused for. Let's stop, let's go and get something nutritious, let's reward my body for the work I did, and then come back to it. Now, when you first start doing this, as I quickly learn, you don't actually feel productive. because you generally are only able to hold your attention span for probably an hour at most. For me, it was a lot less than that. And then you want to go and do something else. So every time you lose attention span rewarding yourself, you do feel like you're doing more of the break and more doing nothing than you are actually doing work. But what you realise is, after a little while, is the time that you spent working was a lot more productive than it would have been if you didn't take that break. I realised that when I was writing policies or coursework or whatever, I was actually writing more in the time where I'd taken short breaks than I was when I wasn't. And generally, I felt a lot more energized throughout the day. I was consuming more water. I felt a lot more energized when it comes to like 6 p.m., where normally I'd be completely shattered by then. And all these are good positive signs. But it does take a little while to get to a point where you don't feel like you're completely being unproductive. Now, before this, funny enough, I actually thought I wasn't doing enough work, and I tried to set up an hour tracker, not just for my employees when they come on board, but I tried to do it myself just to see how many hours I was doing each day, but that just made me depressed because I realised I was barely reaching the 7 hour mark, and for me, I'm a workaholic, so if I'm not doing 10 hours a day, you might as well go back to Chinatown. So I think the overall tip of this is try and implement periods of time in the day where you take a 20 to 30 minute break. Now, don't set a specific schedule. Don't do that because you'll never be able to stick to it and it will go out the window within a week. But when you feel it's needed, when you're completely distracted, when everything doesn't seem real anymore, stop, take a 30 to 20 minute break, and yeah, go have a drink, go get something to eat, have a reward for the work you completed. But this also means when you are working, you need to make sure you are extremely focused. What I normally do is get a pair of headphones that block out most of the noise and put music on to try and keep me focused, or I motivate myself beforehand by watching mental health videos or reading posts from other people, and that motivates me and that keeps me focused. But what you can't do is the minute you start, you do 10 minutes and you're like, well, I'm already fed up, let's take a 30 to 20 minute break, because, yeah, you're just taking the piss at that point. What you've got to learn is, okay, I'll do a substantial amount of time, normally about 30 to 45 minutes of work. You stop, you take a 10 to 20 minute break, and you move on. So yeah, I thought I'd suggest this. I thought I'd pop this by your window. I hope you like these tips. I hope you take these on board because they can help a lot of people, especially who are doing work at home at the moment. If they do help you, please leave a comment down below of how they helped you. If you're new here, please subscribe. Please check out my website. There's a lot of new and exciting things to come. Again, there will be a video coming out at some point next week of a full update on the brand, a full update on what's to come, a full update on what's next, and a few things that have changed since last couple of months ago. But yeah, apart from that, I will catch all you dudes next time. Bye bye.